Hey, do you know the secret password to the uncopyable business video? Psst, it's insurgent. Oh, did you say insurgent? Oh, well, good. Okay, so you are welcome here. Listen, I got a question for you that maybe you can help me with. It has to do with an intelligence issue. So, yep, hi, Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad, marketing gunslinger. I know you didn't recognize me. Welcome to another episode of Uncopyable Business video, my weekly business video. Hey, last week I had a chance to take a hard hat tour at the new International Spy Museum in downtown Washington D.C. And the building is almost done. Here's a picture of it, I believe, right here, and it's gorgeous building, eight stories tall. It's got a beautiful roof deck, beautiful deck on the roof for parties and things like that. And I was invited there by my good buddy Dan Cole, who has just joined them as the Executive Vice President of Sales and Development. And along with him, I had a chance to meet with Rebecca Diamond, who is the Vice President of Development and Membership for the International Spy Museum. And we had an interesting discussion after the tour about kind of what they're trying to do now with the Spy Museum. Now, like most museums, they rely on sponsorships. And now with the new museum, they're also looking at naming rights for different things. So they're going to be very aggressive about this. But in our conversations with this, they were pointing out that the new Spy Museum is also going to be a bit of a shift in the approach or the way it's being presented to the public. For example, at the old Spy Museum, they consider that to be it was educational, or it is educational. For the most part, it's more of they feel like it's more entertainment for the young people to come there and have fun being spies and learning how to be spies and things like that. While the new International Spy Museum is going to, while it's still going to have that fun aspect of the old museum, they really want to also stress and start to emphasize the educational side of the intelligence, the work of the intelligence community, but the educational side of it. I don't think they're going to recruit people, but you never know. And also to recognize the international community for its contribution in the freedom of the United States, of the United States being free, and that whether we like it or not, every country is involved in some type of intelligence activity, and that there have been tens of thousands of men and women over the history who have given their lives, have sacrificed heavily for this. Even my mom was involved in the intelligence community, and we really didn't know that because, of course, she never was able to talk about it. But she was had top secret clearance when she worked at Sandia Labs in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and found out some interesting stuff about her later on. So even my mom was involved in that. And so here's the question. Because the question was, in naming rights and in sponsors, what advice would I have for them? And this is why I want to reach out to you guys, is because I want you to back me up on this, and I also want you to add to what I suggested to them. First thing I suggested, which of course I talk about with everybody, is who is their moose, right? Who is the moose? Now, the moose in this case, when we're talking about sponsorships and naming rights, the moose are not the public who would be coming to the museum. It's the companies that would be being the sponsors. Okay, so while they were kind of, and this was a very casual conversation, a lot off the top of our heads stuff, but they named some of the typical common big time sponsors that we would see pretty much everywhere, and whether it's a McDonald's or whether it's some type of a device like a Samsung or something like that, Those are all well and good. But I said that I felt that a sponsor for the Spy Museum, in particular, something that has to do with international, national security, it should be more in that direction. It should be more, the moose should be more congruent with that terminology of security. So I had suggested that they think in terms of something like banks, or even credit cards, and the idea of keeping your information safe there. I don't know, Wells Fargo security or something like that. I even suggested that one stretch might be to go to Facebook and encourage Facebook to kind of pivot and come over and say, no, that by working with the International Spy Museum, that they really are interested in fixing the situation and making things secure for their customers. I told them that they needed to come up with a really good story about the intelligence community, and how would you tell this story to the American public? How would you tell this story to a possible sponsor as to the story behind the intelligence community, and also looking at how is there an educational component? I mean, are there educational type of sponsors out there? So while this was a very broad conversation, like I say, we were just kind of throwing ideas out at each other. I am real curious to hear from you what your recommendation would be. Like, who do you think should be a sponsor or buy some naming rights at the new International Spy Museum in Washington, D.C., and why do you think they should? And put them in the comments below, and let's have a conversation about this, and let's get involved and start talking about how would you pick out your moose who are congruent with the story that you're telling, and who would benefit from the story that you are telling, and how would you tell the story to them? So if you got any ideas, let me know. All right, in the comments below. If you'd rather email me, that's fine. I'd rather have an open conversation about this too. So let me know what you think. The International Spy Museum will be open again. I mean, it's open now, but the new one is going to be open next spring. So we'll be following that, and it'll be interesting to see how that comes out. In the meantime, send me your cards and letters. Let me hear what you got to say. All right? This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's dad and marketing gunslinger. Thanks again for watching my weekly Uncopyable Business. This one, reaching out to you. Give me some feedback. I'll be back again next week. And in the meantime, always remember, be uncopyable. See you later, gang.